Hey, hey everyone! How is it going? We are live. Just trying to make sure we're good on all ends here. Okay. I think we're good. Hey, hey, hey! Kathy here, back from Santa Marta Designs. We got a bee wreath that we're going to do tonight together with deco mesh. So I'm going to get started on my wreath frame because we don't want to be here forever. So I'm going to take a 14-inch Dollar Tree wreath frame. I got to start rolling up my sleeves because I'm getting stuck here. So I'm going to take a 14-inch Dollar Tree wreath frame and I'm going to put my own pipe cleaners on there. We're not working with a pre-made form. And in order to do this, what I do is I basically space out my pipe cleaners about 3 to 4 inches apart. I'm going to show you guys in just a minute what we're going to use for materials tonight. Just trying to see if we've got anybody else coming on. So we're going to do the basic stuff first before we do the reveal of everything we're going to be using, even though it's pretty much almost all on top of our workspace already right now. But I do have a couple other little things that I might pop in this wreath that I didn't mention before. So if you're new to our page, welcome. If you've been to our page, welcome back. And if you haven't subscribed to our page, what are you waiting for? Just hit that little free subscribe button and basically YouTube will let us know, not let us know. They'll basically let you know. Let you know when we come live or have new things out for you to see, as long as you also hit that little notification bell icon. So go ahead and do that if you want. So we're going to put 10 ties on the bottom. Let's count how many we have. 2, 4, 6, 8. We already have 10. That's not possible. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I was going so fast, not even counting. I spaced out really close. So that happens, guys. No big deal. I was basically putting them about 2 inches apart. Just trying to breeze right through this. So we're going to space them out a little bit further. It happens, guys. The best of us. So no big deal. I'm going to take a couple of these that I haven't tied around a... Oh, I did that pretty nasty there, huh? Because this one was supposed to move over. There we go. We can fix this pretty quickly. No big deal. So hey everyone, we got Cindy, we got Trini. How are you guys? I am doing well. We've got a bee wreath for you guys. Invite your friends. Go ahead and hit that little thumbs up button. All right, so let's recount this. I think we've got one more to put on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, great. So let me just space this out. I'm gonna move this one over a smidge. So they should be about 3 to 4 inches apart, and you're going to end up probably about like 3.5 when all's said and done. And it doesn't matter, like don't waste your time and take a ruler or anything and measure out. You want to just get it approximately, okay? If you need a good guide, put these up and standing up in position, and when you have them in half, and then just kind of lay them down, and then that's really where you should roughly put your next one, okay? So we're just going to move this one over, and then I think we're pretty good to move this one over just a smidge. Okay. I was going so quickly. We're still trying to learn here in the shop, getting on YouTube the right way, so kind of makes me a little frazzled, all that technology stuff that I don't know so well. But we're learning. So we've all got learning curves. We've all got to get through them and master the things we don't know, right? So I've got 18 twist ties, okay? Or pipe cleaners, whatever you want to call them. I'll refer to them interchangeably. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Perfect. Now when I go to the 2 rows on the top, which I think I'm going to zoom you guys in just so you guys can see. Hopefully I don't shut anything off by accident. All right, so let's zoom you guys right in there. Good. Thank you, Trini Shared. You're wonderful. All right, so when I get to the top 2 rungs, the inner 2 rungs, I'm going to go ahead and try and find a really good spot that I can just kind of make sure I'm putting them in between these 2 pipe cleaners that are already laid down, okay? So maybe I'll even just start here. You can start at a crossbar, you can start wherever you're comfortable with. So all you do is come up in here, right in between those 2, give it a good squeeze, and then tighten about a good 3 to 4 times, okay? And then you're going to do that all the way around again until you get 8 of them on, all right? So again, I was trying to go really quickly because I think my nerves were all up in a frazzled tizzy about trying to make sure we got online right. And I almost had a panic attack, but we managed. I think I typed in the same thing about 4 times and then almost pretty much gave up. Almost. We were almost at the give up mark, but we made it. We made it. What is the saying? If you do something a certain number of times, you actually get, you know, becomes nature. Somebody needs to tell me however many times that is so I can figure it out. All right, so these on the inside, I'm going to kind of keep them towards the inner side of the wreath frame just so I can not get poked and prodded by everything else that I don't need right now. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 3 more to put on, and I think we're pretty good here with spacing. Okay. And again, it's okay if in the end one is a little bit closer than the other. You're not even going to be able to tell by the time you get all of your wreath goodies on here. Okay. That's what we'll call them, our wreath goodies. Okay, so now that we have our frame all set, let's talk about what we're going to use tonight, okay, for materials. So we obviously have our 14-inch wreath frame. We have 18 pipe cleaners. So let's set that aside and show you what we've got for ribbon tails. So we've got 2 2.5-inch ribbons that are really nice and thick canvas ribbons. So we've got this plaid, black and white, and then we've got this, looks like honeycomb, 2.5-inch, okay? And then for the top of these 2, I'm literally going to swap out a white Swiss dot with black and a black with white Swiss dot. And they are literally going to go on top of one another, just like that, okay? So these are all cut at 12 inches, and then what I do, oh, I forgot to do the black one. Well, we'll do the black one together. That'll be a good learning. I forgot to do the black one last night. I was probably a little too tired. Then we've got a bee sign, so really cute, from Deco Exchange. Says be kind. Love it. Okay, and we've got I'm going to show you how to attach your wire here so that you can put this onto a wreath frame, okay? And then we've got all this deco mesh in the yellow already cut at about 15 inches each that we're going to make ruffles with. Now loaded up onto my mesh roller is already the 21-inch black and white striped mesh that we're going to use for our base to use as poofs. We've got a big couple of ribbon towers over here that aren't even relevant. I just have not had a chance or a second to put this stuff away, and I hope none of that comes tumbling down during the live, but we'll make it work, okay? So we're going to put some of this stuff aside, and then we may use either one of these possibly tonight. And I'm going to show you the bow in a second. So we had made this on a Facebook Live already, which was our little bee, styrofoam bee, okay? And then this also came from Deco Exchange, so I'm not really sure if we're going to use this or not, but I thought it was really kind of cute. It needs a little love, so we'll put a little glue on there. But it's a little beehive. Cute, right? So we may use this, we may use the bees, who knows. We'll have to look when we're close to wrapping it up and just putting in all our accent stuff. But this is our bow that we made on our Facebook Live. And look at all that juicy ribbon. So really nice, right? And we left the tails long because we don't know where we're going to put our bow right now. All right, so this is, it's got bee ribbon, it's got this rickrack ribbon, again, bringing in the black with white Swiss dots. It does have some accent of the plaid in here, but we mixed in different ribbons just so it kind of offsets. Love this big polka dot ribbon, okay? So let's put that aside. We're gonna put our staple gun aside. And I promise we're gonna get better about putting the supplies on, because I actually had all the supplies listed, and that was one of the technical difficulties I had, getting that to stay, because I had everything listed and then I obviously clicked the wrong button and everything disappeared. Twice on me. All right, so we're gonna grab one zip tie, and I'll show you why. Okay, so this zip tie is about 8 inches long, okay? So I'm gonna grab a zip tie. First, I'm gonna bunch up, okay, the beginning part of this mesh, okay? Just like that, doesn't really matter. I'm gonna go in that direction to do my poofs just because that's where my mesh roller is. If you're righty, you'd go that way. If you're a lefty, you'd go that way. I'm actually a righty, but this is where my mesh roller falls, so. All right, so I'm gonna come in here. So we're gonna start right here. It doesn't really matter where you start, but just pick a spot. I would normally want to go ahead and put my mesh into my pipe cleaner and just tie that off. But on the first one, what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna use the pipe cleaner, I'm gonna use the zip tie. And I'm gonna basically put it between the middle two rungs here of the base. And I'm gonna put this zip tie right tied around the beginning of this mesh as tight as I possibly can. I'm gonna get my little cutters out, which are just like little jewelry cutters, okay? And that's gonna hold down my mesh, hopefully, from going anywhere, okay? This is gonna stay unused and we're gonna leave it open like that, all right? So now you can just start making your poofs. Now your poofs are your poofs, so you can make them as big as you want. I like to go generally about 10 inches. So I'm just looking at 20 right here is where my frame ends, and I'm on my hands on my 10. So that's about a 10-inch poof. And that's what a 10-inch poof is gonna look like. I'll put that on here because we're gonna use this anyways. So this is what a 10-inch poof is gonna basically look like, okay? You can make them really big, or you can make them really smaller. It's totally up to you. So we're gonna start going ahead and putting down our poofs, and all we do is put that down into our twist tie, our pipe cleaner, and go ahead and close that off. Now you can fluff these as you go, or you can fluff them in the end, whatever you want. Don't worry about if it looks a little see-through right now, okay? When you're grabbing your mesh, you want to make sure that the ends kind of stay curled in, because you don't want, you know, the ends there kind of poking out and looking all ugly on you, okay? So we're just going to continue to go around the whole entire bottom first, okay? And you can tug on your mesh roller to give it a little slack in your deco mesh. If you have one of these from Susie Brown, I'm sure you love it. If you don't have one, you should ask for one for Valentine's Day tomorrow. Though you won't get it right away because delivery time is longer than that, but maybe you could just get a little card from your special someone that says there's one coming in the mail. Who wants flowers when you can have a mesh roller, right? Hi Geraldine, hi everyone. So some of my poofs might look a little bit smaller. I'm not really worried. I don't like tremendously huge poofs in my projects just because they end up being really big as it is. So it doesn't bother me to make them a little bit smaller. See, like this one's smaller than this one's going to be. I'm not worried, okay? And I have one pipe cleaner that keeps wiggling around on me, so we're going to just tighten that up a little bit. I think it was because I moved it, and then it just kind of, after that, decided to slack off. So just be careful. Some people have a ton of hand strength, and they really, really tighten their pipe cleaners on these frames to a point that they actually crack and break their metal frames. I've seen it done before. I could never do it because I don't have that kind of hand strength, literally. But if you do, I just want to warn you, be careful because you will snap the frame unless you plan on welding it back together. I mean, these are Dollar Tree frames, so they're economical to repurchase, but not really suggested that you have to go rebuy things, right? So, has anyone done a bee wreath before? We are live, so you guys can go ahead and ask any questions you want. I will obviously do my best to answer them. So again, this mesh is 21 inches wide. It's a brand new roll, comes about a 10-yard roll, okay? I think this one actually came from Craft Outlet, to be honest with you, which is an online store, craftoutlet.com. Fabulous, fabulous store that has a ton of pretty things to craft with. Ton. Okay. Alright, so I've gone all the way around. I'm just kind of fluffing this one here because it's bothering me. Alright. Okay. So I have this saying, it's gonna look ugly before it looks pretty. Okay, so you can't judge it from the way you start off. Okay, so we're at where we basically started off. Now, remember how I said you're gonna leave this pipe cleaner open right here where your zip tie is? So now is your chance, okay? You're gonna put that right down in there to close off this first layer. And this last poof is gonna really just cover right up your zip tie, so you don't even have to worry about it. Okay, and we're gonna have so much more stuff on here, guys, that you don't need to worry about this really going to be see-through. Okay, so now how do we get to the top, right? How do we get to the inside rungs? I'm just trying to make sure my mesh is curled in on the edges here. So you can, if you want to, which I do sometimes, and we can do it to show you. I do sometimes is I like to come straight up and actually put a zip tie here so that this isn't moving kind of like diagonal, and I'll show you what I mean. We'll put in a zip tie. Okay, so if we put in, we go in straight up, we shot straight up to the inside. And then all I'm basically going to do is try and get between the second to uppermost rung. And I'm going to tie this off. Okay. Now I'm definitely going to want to make sure that that zip tie head is pushed towards some part of the frame that is either not going to be both a seam, ooh, wet flying, or scratch anything that, you know, you're going to put this on top of. All right. So I still have my pipe cleaner here for my bottom layer that I'm going to leave because I also want to make sure I put my ribbon tails in there. So now I'm on the top most inner layer, and I can go ahead and open up all my ties now, all right? Just so I'm not fumbling as much as I go, because we kind of close them off. Oh, this one's a little loose too. Hold on, let's rearrange that one. Let's rearrange that one. Okay, so we're gonna just open that right back up again and try and squeeze that one a little bit tighter to close off. All right, so, oh, this one's wiggling around too. My goodness, we've got a lot of wigglies around going here. So the good thing about when you get pre-made wreath forms is you really don't have this happening. You just can open up your twist ties and they stay really nicely for you, but they are also more expensive. So if you're not looking to put that into your wreath budget, then I suggest the make your own type frames. Okay, so just adjust your edges on your poofs as you need to. And you're going to come in and do the same thing here, okay? Now, we're going to kind of try and braze through the top because I'm going to go ahead and show you what I like to do after I've even finished putting in this innermost layer. Because for me, I find it still a little holy. And not holy in the sense of religion, it's not what we're here to talk about. I mean holy in the sense of, if you look at it, you feel like there's spots that could just lend the eye to feel like it's gonna see through to the wreath frame, or just look like it's not really full, okay? So we're just gonna keep pulling on our 21-inch mesh to fill this up. And we only have 8 ties on the top to fill up, so let's fill this up. But you can see how pretty this black and white stripe is, right? I think once it's all laid down, it looks really good. Okay. Again, I haven't even fluffed any of this, basically, that I just put on. And so you see, I don't really take the time to measure every single poof. I just kind of eyeball and see that they generally, for the most part, look the same. And again, it's okay if they're a little off. All right. We're getting twisted here. Hold on. There we go. Just got a little twisted. Okay. So now we're really close to the end again. Or I should say to the beginning, which is one of the same. We started off at one point and we're going to end at that same point. So here we have one left, okay, to, oh, I lied. No, we have one left. I'm right. No, we have 2. Sorry, we have 2. Zip tie threw me off. We have 2 left, so let's do this one last one. Okay, so let's do this one and then we'll do the last one together as well. Okay, so a lot of people will stop here and say, okay, my base is done. I have one more to really close this off. And I'm gonna say no, because I'm just gonna come right back into this first one that already has a poof. And what I'm actually gonna do, I'm not even reopening anything. What I'm actually gonna do is just come in with a little tiny zigzag pattern to add a little extra layer of coverage in the holy area. So if I lift this up, can you see right here that there's like a space that you can kind of see if I put my hand back there? See that? I don't like that. It really drives me bananas. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and kind of just move my mesh around so that I can kind of put in another layer over here. And you can decide whether it goes in the top closure or the bottom closure, whatever you think works best. And I think actually on this one, the bottom closure is going to work better, because all I'm trying to do is provide a little extra coverage for those empty spaces, because I don't like seeing that. Okay, and this is just a personal preference. So like I said, a lot of people would be done once they got to the other part of the base. Okay, but I just kind of like making sure that we have a little more meat in there. And I'm not going into every single bottom rung. Okay, I'm kind of like skipping over almost every other. So it's almost like you're putting in 5 more little poofs, really. And I try to kind of move things over so that it's not just laying right on top of the other 2 poofs. It's more like it's mixed in. Because nobody just wants like a good old lazy poof just sitting right on the top of everybody else. Right? Everybody's got a job. So, and again, so probably taking about the same amount of length in my mesh to do this, but I'm just, again, layering on top. So I'm going to do probably 1 more, I believe, before we get to the end there. I just thought I had the pipe cleaner tied around it, and I didn't. I just tied my finger, essentially. Okay. You'll still see some tiny spaces, but that's because we haven't even, you know, given this any kind of life. We've just been kind of placing poofs in. All right. So we're right back to where we started now. So let's just put 1 right in through here. If my folds on my ends want to cooperate. Okay. Okay, so let's grab this one. Sometimes it's so hard to see your pipe cleaners when they blend in really well with your mesh. All right, so now I have the end here. I'm just going to snip this off with my scissors, a good 4 or 5 inches. I'm going to pull the rest of my mesh away so we don't need that snagging on us the whole time. And what I'm going to do with this is bring it right inside the wreath, basically to as far back as I possibly can to the wreath frame. Okay. And then what you could do with that, if we didn't lose it, you could just zip tie that in. And we lost it. It hides so well, to be honest with you. Okay, so it's right here. And you could tie that in, or you can just kind of, you could just hide it within your poof. It's not really going to make a difference. We'll just leave that there because it's not going to come out. It's actually really prickly, picking on everything, so I don't think it's going to pop out anywhere. All right, so before we can add our ribbon tails, I'm actually going to bring out our Easy Bow Maker just because we're going to use it for helping us to place things in. Okay, so let's get our ribbon tails in order here. Okay, that's perfect. Let's move this over. And let's get that over there. We're gonna push things aside so we can show you when we put our ruffles in, that we're gonna do things, 2 things at a time to help try and save time. All right, so I've got 15-inch pieces cut here at a length, or I should say these are a width automatically of 10 inches, but I've got 15 inches cut this way, okay? So I'm just going to go ahead and make some ruffles. I'm going to have to move this ribbon because it's still snagging on everything. So now, instead of putting this into our wreath frame right like that, I'm going to put this here, okay? And then I'm going to pick what I want for my ribbon tails, which I'm just going to alternate. I'm going to fold that in half, okay? And then I'm going to just go ahead and pick up it in the middle, give it a good little curl by taking either these 2 fingers, and running that right along there. And see how that curls up your ribbon real nicely? Take my arm out of the way. So then we're going to take back out our ruffle, and we're going to put this right on top, and then this is going to go right on our wreath frame. Okay, so that way we don't have to go back around the whole entire frame again to put everything in. And our ruffles, we're just going to kind of shimmy them over so that the edges meet each other. Okay, and then our ribbon, we can stack that in any which way we want. So we can put 1.5 inch going this way and the 2.5 inch this way, or we can mix them so that they're kind of almost like at an X. All right, so maybe we'll just leave them like that, but we're going to do all these ruffles together. This mesh is more of a basic mesh, and it does fray, but so does any kind of mesh. All right, so you just want to try and either walk your fingers up, or you can keep your fingers still, okay? And then you can put that right in there, or if you have like that Bodabra, you can do that as well. Oh, we forgot to do the edges together on these, so let's do that quick. I forgot we to do the edges, so let's do the dovetails. I like taking 3 at a time. You do have to get your scissors, a good pair of scissors, I should say. And you just fold the ends in half, okay? And then cut at an angle away from you. And that gives you a nice little pointy V in your tails. You can actually cut them in whatever manner you want. So if you wanted them at a straight angle, you know, like some kind of 45-degree angle, just one way without a point, you could do that. There's no rules. It's all about what your design preference is. So again, I try and take 3 of them at a time so that I can save time. I find that if I put 4, my scissors really don't like that, but maybe you have much sharper scissors that really don't mind if 4 get put together. So, okay, so now let's start back at what we were gonna say. So we're gonna take the yellow and the black, and I just really like the contrast in this, so that's why I chose these 2 ribbons. I mean, it's okay to be the whole concept of matchy-matchy, meaning a lot of things similar, but it's also okay. You know what? I don't even know that we're gonna do, we might not even do ruffles in every single tie now that I'm looking at it, because This is the happy part about designing, because what you have sometimes in your head and what actually comes out could be completely two different things. So to make my ruffles work, I'm just making sure I push the little edges together so that they meet, okay? So it almost looks like a little flower kind of coming out, all right? Now if you get frays like that, you can just cut them right off, okay? So the reason why I say we might not even do ruffles in every tie is because it's going to cover my mesh a lot, the black and white one, and I really don't want to cover 100% of my mesh. I don't think I fluffed my ribbon tails before I put them in on that time. So, and actually I skipped a tie. Let's see where we end up. We might not even need a ton of these tails, which aren't going to go bad. I think because we're adding these ruffles, which are a good size, might actually give us enough coverage to not put tails everywhere and ruffles everywhere. But we'll see when we're done. We'll see. So fluff those out, put them together, and then we're gonna see about, I don't think we're gonna need these in every single tie. Okay. So any questions so far? Other than me changing the whole entire design yet? So the tails are cut at 12 inches long. Okay, and like I said, the mesh is gonna fray, but just try and get it so that it covers one another. Once it sticks to one another, as far as grabbing it and it's sticking to one another on either side, it's not gonna continue to fray as much. The more you play with it, the more it frays. Absolutely, for sure. Okay. But you can also cover up your frays with the ribbon. Okay. I'm a little OCD, so I had to cut the fray now instead of waiting. Instead of waiting for us to get done. Okay. And the other thing to consider is sometimes what I like to do before I cut all this material, I kind of take a look to see where my sign is going to go. Because if my sign is going to cover a huge part of my wreath and it's got ribbon tails on it, then guess what? I just wasted a ton of material right under my sign that no one's going to see, and it's a waste of money. So sometimes think of that as well. I am going to put one here. And I'm kind of judging based on, once I place it on the wreath, does it look like it needs it in that space or not? There's nothing that says you have to absolutely go every single space and put one. And so just fluff it out so that the ends meet. Perfect. Maybe we'll go up with the yellow this time because there's black right next to it. Okay. And again, just cut any kind of phrase that you see. So what do you guys think so far? You liking the black, white, and yellow? Okay, so again, here's the ruffle. Put that in. We'll get a ribbon tail out. What we might do, I think, is what we're probably very likely going to do, is we're just going to put it, we're going to put the ruffles and the tails on the outside, the outermost side of the frame. And then I think what we're going to do is put our sign on and see kind of where we fall out with what's getting covered or what's kind of an empty space. And in that way, we will still have extra ribbon tails that we could then probably put in the right spot. So this is more of a basic mesh, so it's definitely fraying a lot more, okay, than if we probably had a premium mesh. It's still gonna get the job done. Okay. It's gonna get the job done with a little more haircuts. That's all. Okay. So see, I had a tie down here, but I skipped it just because I don't want to cover everything up. I really do like this pretty black and white striped mesh. And it's okay that I have this yellow cut because I'll just find another project to use the extra on. Or if you wanted to do 2 bee wreaths, because maybe you have double doors, could always make another, or make enough for your neighbors. Maybe you love your neighbor and want to give them one. Okay, so again, I'm putting my ruffle together with my ribbon tail bundle, and I'm coming in here. These two are really close together, so let's pick the right spot we want to go at. Let's pick this spot right here on the outer side. Okay. And these I'm really trying to push down quite a bit when I tie them in so that I have enough room in the pipe cleaner to really give it a few good twists. Now some people will go ahead and cut off their pipe cleaners once they're done tying them, and I've stopped doing that. I'll tell you why. A, it took a whole heck of a lot of time, okay, and we all know that time is precious. Whatever time we get to sometimes create is already almost a miracle out of our busy days. So who has time to be wasting cutting pipe cleaners? So I'll show you towards the end what I now like to do with my pipe cleaners, which just makes it a ton more easy than having to go in and clip them all off and make sure that there's no sharp edges, you know, kind of left being pointy or pointed out. but I'll show that to you towards the end. And we're getting, I think this is probably the last one we're going to put in as far as a bundle goes, with a ruffle and ribbon tails. Okay, so again, just fluffing those so that they come into like a really nice arch. See that? So that way when you put it together with your ribbon tail and then put it into your frame, it's already got like a nice little arch to it, and you're not trying to then bend it up against the mesh. Of course you squish it a little bit trying to get in there, but it's in a lot better shape than if you hadn't done that. Okay, so the edges I'm trying to just curl in so that nobody can see those frays. Okay. And then I'll cover them up with my ribbon tails. All right, so we'll probably definitely come back into here, some of them, see some of these with some ribbon tails, and that's okay. We can do that after the fact. But let's get our sign on, all right? So essentially we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We did 7, which is totally an odd number, but that's okay. Guys, I just did a wreath last night in someone's private group, and guess what? Before, when I was cutting the material, I was trying to use up a lot of extras because that's what we end up with. So if we don't use this, this is what I call, we have extras, right? You don't want to throw that away. You don't want to, you know, get rid of it. Looking for my sign. Here it is. So I had only, I think it was 7 of a jute mesh, 10-inch jute mesh pieces that I could cut, and I had 11 of another one. So I ended up with 17, and we know we usually always have 18. So I totally went with it. 17 it was, because who's going to really know? And if you guys look at the picture on my Facebook page that I posted, you guys probably will never be able to tell on the Happy Easter wreath that there was a happy little accident, and we only had 17 ties, not 18. All right, so our frame, let's bring out our sign, so let's bring out our frame for a second. Where do we want to put this? So I'm thinking, I love sideways, and then I love having the bow somewhere here. We can do left or we can do right. So if I put it towards you, we either have it here like a little bit sideways, or we can have it here a little bit sideways. Maybe we'll put it bottom right, because I always go left for some reason. And then maybe we can put this here, our big fat juicy bow. Let me move this light for a second so it's not making our sign disappear 100%. And then, I don't know if we're going to have room for a bee or a beehive. We can check. Let's check. Do we have room for a little beehive somewhere? See, I have to give this guy a little bit of love because he needs a little bit of glue. So we could possibly put in a beehive, or we could just put in a little bee. What do you guys think? Do you guys have a vote? You guys have a vote in my room here, in my design space. Do you like the bee or the beehive? You guys let me know. So we're going to go with, I think, bottom right, and then we may put in the beehive. I'll have to just put a little bit of glue here, so it looks like it's coming off a little bit. So let's put in a little bit of glue here while you guys are giving me a vote. It's okay, whatever you guys decide. If you guys decide no beehive, that's okay too. So we're just gonna give this guy a little bit of love for a second to squeeze that shut. And I think that's the only spot. because this is in the back and that's going to get covered. You know, maybe we go with the little beehive. It's okay to type in the little comment section there. Yes, beehive. Yes, bee. No to both. Okay, just feeling the glue. It's still a little tacky. So we're going to move our bow while we hold on to this. And we're going to get ready to do our sign. Geraldine likes the bee. Geraldine's voice counts. So we've got one vote. Okay. So I'm going to talk to you about this while I kind of hold this for just a minute. So we're going to get some wire out here, okay? Now, I usually like to use this green floral wire, which is 22 gauge. It's a lot thicker than the usual silver floral wire, and I usually only use this if my wire is going to be completely hidden, okay, behind my sign, or if my sign is already of this color and it would be showing, okay? So I like this one because it's stronger and sturdier. It gives me more comfort that something's not going to fall off. And two, like an added bonus, is it really is much easier to poke right through your mesh to find the back of your wreath frame than the silver wire, because that bends super easy. The silver wire I'm talking about is this one here, like this, and that's a 26 gauge. You would think the higher you go, the stronger it is, but it's actually the opposite in wire. The higher you go in gauge, the thinner the wire actually is, okay? So the 26 gauge I try to use only if I have signs where I'd have to poke holes in the front that you're going to actually see the wire versus not. Okay, so this happy little beehive is got some love again and shouldn't give us an issue. Okay. Oh, Cindy says his hive and bee. Okay, so Cindy, do you want both? Cindy looks like she wants both. I don't know. Her last one was bee though. Maybe that was it. All right, so wire, guys. I cut usually about 24 inches, but I always know I have a little extra because I want to make sure I have enough. So if you think that's too much, you can roll up a couple of inches. That's totally fine too. What you have to remember is you're going to actually bend this in half, okay? So you're not going to have this whole piece. You're going to actually end up bending this in half to get down into your wreath frame, okay? So you want to leave yourself enough in length that you know you're going to be able to get down through the mesh and tie everything in the back there to your wreath frame. So make sure you give yourself enough room. So we had said we're going to put this kind of like diagonal, right? Or at a slant. Let's just bring this back out and remind myself. So I said I'm going to basically do it like this on the bottom, right? So for me, I'm actually going to go put my wire here and here towards the middle of these two sides, because I have a wreath frame that is circular that's going to sit right here and right here. If I did these edges, you're really going to see this wire kind of sticking out from the side here. It's going to look ugly. I wouldn't recommend doing that. So sides it is, and this came with some rope that usually I try to take these little staple guys out, but they were giving me such a hard time that I literally just ended up cutting the rope, and I said, to phooey with that, right? Versus saying something else. All right, so we're just checking, since this is square, I want to make sure we're putting it on the right side. So I'm going to put my wire down, and basically I'm at halfway, you know, folding it. Be careful, guys, if you haven't used a staple gun before. Please, like, if you get it, read the instructions or have someone show you how to do it. I first bought a craft one before I bought this normal DeWalt gun, and the craft one, the staples came out actually this side versus the normal side in the front, and I actually had my thumb here trying to do something, and I think, actually, I'm sorry, I think I had my thumb here. That's what it was. I was holding it like this, trying to push down. And what do you know? I stapled my finger. So that was not fun. So we're going to go ahead and make sure that we're in the middle. Basically, it's going to be a little loud. And we're just going to slam that right in there. And I like to put 2 because I get scared that things aren't going to work right. So I don't let it just be like that. So what I like to do on top of that is I take a little bit of hot glue and I squeeze some hot glue right over the wire onto the wood and making like a little layer, a happy little layer of hot glue. Now when I twist it, I am not putting my fingers near that hot glue so that I burn myself. But all that glue does is just make sure that your wire is not going to keep moving around on you. And it just kind of holds everything together so that there's nothing that's going to kind of get in here and unravel or get stuck in your wire. So here's our other side. Okay. Did I only cut 1 piece of wire so far? I thought I cut 2. Okay. So about my 24-inch mark, I just had shortened the other side so that way we could see which one was going to be better. And I just kind of like to get the halfway mark when I bend it. So you're going to see that this wire is longer than this wire in just a minute when I push them up. And we're just going to experiment that I think the longer wire is going to be a lot more helpful for us to be able to identify where our wire is when we're trying to get it to the back of the base of the frame. Okay, so here's our hot glue. Okay, and again, just twisting right into, basically I'm pushing the wire down towards the sign and twisting, okay? And I probably gave it a good 6 twists or so. So this wire, I don't know if you can see it, is definitely longer than this one. Probably about by a good 2 inches, 3 inches, 2.5 inches maybe. So we'll let that dry, okay, because we don't want to put it on our mesh with hot sticky glue. So let's set that aside so it can dry somewhere that it's not going to go tumbling down. Our workspace needs to get cleaned up. Let's see what Cindy said. Cindy is fighting autocorrect, poor thing. She wants the beehive. Poor Cindy. I know that feeling. I usually have that feeling when I'm trying to text someone and you say something and it's like, oh, that's not what I meant to say, and it just fixed it at the last second. Sometimes autocorrect can get a little awkward, right? All right, so I think we're good here. I'm just checking to see if there was any additional current spots that I needed to kind of cut, give any haircuts to. But I think we're good. All right. This side could use a little more. And try and curl your edges in, because that will also help with not seeing your frays. Okay. But fraying is inevitable with mesh. So don't use a wood burner. I have heard a lot of people try and use a wood burner to seal it. Bless you if you do, but that does give off a lot of fumes. I am very sensitive to smells, so I am not even going to try that. That's why I don't even do like any of those epoxy cups or anything like that. No thanks, I'd rather just buy them off everyone else that makes them. Alright, so let's pick a side here that maybe is a little less desirable. Okay. I think we wanted it this way. So now I'm going to poke these 2 little guys here from our wire right through our mesh. Alright, so I'm going to find our spot. I'm trying to get them together because it's so much easier than doing one at a time. Alright, I'm going to poke that right down through our mesh. And then the sign attachment is always sometimes the struggle because you can feel it, it's poking you, you get a wire stab. There are some of my wreathing community friends that use the really long yarn needles. And they're almost like they're not a crocheting needle, but they're not the long yarn needles, but they're probably about like 6 inches long. And they attach their wire to the end of the yarn needle, and they poke that right through their mesh, and they get it through pretty quickly. I haven't actually tried it, but I've seen it done, and it looks like it works. So just passing along some tips. Maybe you guys have one of those yarn needles at home already and you haven't maybe just tried it. All right, so we're gonna actually flip this around so you can see. Since we don't have our bow on or anything like that, we're not gonna squish too much. But, and I know wire is really hard to see on camera, especially since I'm using green and black. It's even a little less visible, but at least I'm gonna try and explain it to you, okay? So now I have 4 wreath rings, right? And so I'm going to try and get between these middle 2, or around the middle 2, I should say, to go ahead and attach my sign. But I don't want to squish my sign down. I just want to make sure that it's kind of like just nestled right on top of my mesh. And I'm not really pushing down really tight, because nobody wants to see a squished in sign. All right, so all I'm doing is just kind of putting a little bit of pressure. Whoops, I missed that second rung there. I thought it was in there in front of my light. I couldn't see. All right, so just giving it like 4 or 5 good twists, just so that I know it's on here. And I will come back after, if I know everything's secure, I will come back and wrap the rest of this wire for the most part, maybe cut it in half, then wrap it around here, take some needle nose pliers and make sure there's nothing sharp sticking out, and that would be our sign attachment, okay? So give it a shake test. Shake it, doesn't fall off, we're good, okay? So, I feel like it's too crooked. I feel like I went a little exaggerated. Hold on. I didn't hold it in place. I probably should have. It's just this side. Let's fix this side. I kind of probably need to look at it. We were a little exaggerated there. Hold on. Let's hold that in place. And where did we move to? Up here or down here? Right here. Okay. That's a little bit better. I felt like we were really topsy-turvy on the sign at that point. Perfect. That's a little bit better. And we may even twist that a little bit more. Okay. All right. I think we'll be okay. We need to just put our bow on the right way. So I'm sorry we did this bow outside of YouTube, but we will eventually upload the tutorial on the bow, okay? Again, we're still working out all the technical kinks of our new social media platform, but we're getting there. So our bow, we attach with the same floral wire, and we're going to do the same concept. So we're going to come up here with our bow, all right? And I just want to make sure we're not still too exaggerated on our little twist here. Okay, good. I want to give you the right side, but I also want to make sure we're not going in the wrong way. All right, so let's attach this guy in here. And you know, when you're putting your bow on it or your sign, it's okay to move your ribbon tails. Ooh, wire stab. if it looks like your ribbon tails are gonna kind of be squished or hidden, and if you were to move them, it would look maybe better. Because Lord knows I've already changed this design maybe 2 times since we started. Okay. All right, so how do I put my bow on? So obviously we talked about the wire, but we didn't talk about yet is, so how do you know if it's on good enough that it's not going to fall off? Well, so a lot of people say, all right, pull it really tight. If I pull it really tight, look what happens. See how it sinks? Now if I let go, it's going to bounce up. See that? So we want it nice and fluffy. That's like how it looks really pretty, right? So I want to basically put my bow on. I'm going to move my wire so that I already know I'm basically, my wire is going to be straddling the second and third rungs here before I pull any kind of tight. Let me just get my wire through. All right, get our wire through. And so now I'm just basically going to pull slightly, but I don't want to pull so that it's like this. I want to let it bounce back, okay? And all I'm going to do is give it some twist back here so that it's not going to keep wiggling around on us, just like we did for the sign. And then I'm going to go back in, wrap the remainder around one of the rungs, and clip it off, tie it off with the needle nose pliers so that I know it's not going to hurt anyone. No sharp edges. Now see, look at this, guys. Like, see how much these tails already covered all this mesh that we had down here, and all these you know, beautiful tails we already had. So the only thing we would need to worry about is spaces like this. Okay, so spaces like this on the side of the wreath that we know somebody's probably going to see that if they're walking to the side of the door, or they open the door or something. So what we're going to do, we've got a big old wire sticking out at us. Let's just point that in. We're going to put in some ribbon tails here, okay? Because we don't want it empty. And I think we're going to go with the black and the white, just because we have already the honeycomb 1.5 inch really close by. But I don't want something too similar or exactly the same but in a different size. So we're just going to pop in some extra ribbon tails, okay? And these aren't even actually extra, to be fair. They're actually part of what we originally cut, but decided not to put in. Okay. So on this one, I'm just going to choose to put the 2.5 inch towards the bottom of the wreath. And that's just my preference. So I just continue to turn, and these just need to get repositioned because we've been monkeying around with our bow. Okay. So just pull them apart. They will eventually go where you want them to go. And so then again, I think we're going to probably come into a couple of spots that we need some extra ribbon tails. Okay, like here's another one. I'm just trying to find the other piece to our pipe cleaner. Where is it? It's tied up. There it is. Okay. And then let's see. That one's good. Although I think we're going to push it to the top there. So that one we're going to push upwards more. These just need to be fixed. And then here I think we're going to put another black and white. So let's put another black and white right in there. So you can totally use your top of your sign if you're running out of desk space. All right, so let's find our pipe cleaner in here. It's hiding. Hiding somewhere. Here's one piece. The other piece has to be around here somewhere. Don't you just hate it when they hide on you? Inside the mesh. Okay. So let's put that one down in here. And I think I'm going to push the white polka dot towards the bow, because inside the bow I already have, very close to me, is a black and white plaid. Okay. So see how that just added a little bit more coverage there. And I know we're thinking about putting the beehive, but I still think it needed a little bit of something there. I think it was going to be a little too plain. All right, we talked about putting one on the edge here. So let's get our honeycomb in black. And instead of having to do this, you guys totally could have just put on your 18, you know, tails and called it a day. But I really do like to just sometimes be careful what we're doing, seeing if we really do need that. I'm trying to hold it up so you guys could see what I'm doing. So I'm just putting this right into my tie and twisting that off. All right. So again, here you pick where you want which ribbon. If you want them at an X, if you want them at a V, and we'll still show you what we're going to do with those little pipe cleaners. And I think what we might do is, again, one more at the very bottom here. We're going to do a honeycomb one at the bottom. I know you might say, oh, who's going to even see the bottom? But you never know. You never know who's going to look at all those little angles in your wreath. And you'll know. Most importantly, you'll know. You'll know what's in there and what isn't. Okay. Now technically our poofs need to be fluffed out a little bit more so that they're not running away. Okay. All right, so lack of further suspense, how do we close these off that I like to do? So I just take one of my really long paint brushes that I don't even really use because these shed too much. So let's find you a really good pipe cleaner that we could show you without having to lift it. All right, so even right here. So the edge of this pipe cleaner, very top, I'm going to just start wrapping around my paintbrush, and it makes these little curlicues. And the little curlicues are actually kind of really cute for presentation purposes to just leave out instead of them just being a straight old pipe cleaner. Because a lot of times we actually add these little curlicue picks to our projects, right? To make them look a little different. Well, you've actually got built-in curlicues because all you have to do is twist your little pipe cleaners. You could do it around a pencil, paintbrush, pen. You don't have to do a paintbrush. You know, I just really like this one because it's skinny. so that I can get these really small pipe cleaners to work a little bit better for me. But it's all a matter of personal preference. So I'm just going in and doing one side of the wreath so you can see in just a second what it would look like. And so that's how we end up with these little curly cues in here. Okay, so you see that I didn't have to take the time to clip them and hide them and make sure that the edges aren't going to be poking up at anybody. So they're just kind of, you know, in their own little happy curly cue world. So now that we have our sign on, our bow on, let's look for our beehive right here. Our beehive. I think we should kind of nestle our beehive somewhere right along there. Probably going to push our ribbon tails over a little bit. But what do you guys think about the beehive right there? Cute, right? So what we're going to do is come in here and take this jute rope off, because it's not going to serve us any good to have on. Okay. I'm just cutting carefully because I don't really know what the rope is tied to. And this has this really cute little green decoration with some little floral beading. Makes it look like little flower buds. Okay, still not there. There we go. Alright, so we cut the jute out. Alright. I think we're good now. So, what do you think about that? And I think we're going to do is wire for sure to secure this guy. And let me see. I think we're going to use our green wire, because I'm a little afraid the silver wire may not go through as well. Hi, Ian! So Cindy wants to try and use one of those little needle, yarn needle things to attach her signs with. Well, Cindy, if you try it, you have to let us know how it works. Again, I know a lot of my crafty friends that use it, and they absolutely love it. I guess I'm behind the times and haven't tried it yet. So, all right, we're gonna try and see what's the best way to put this on. I don't know that my fingers are gonna be able to go back in through here. So let's try this. We're gonna go through the back. So we found a little spot in the back between these little ridges of the beehive. And what I'm going to try and do is see if I can't get it poked right back out of the front little hole here that I can see. I can see it. And here it is. Alright, the reason I did that is because I'm going to try and go right back in and get it out the next ridge as a completely crazy person. Or we could do it right through the bottom. Right through the bottom would work too. And if that doesn't work, I'll just glue this sucker on. Right? No one really thought of this being a wreath attachment, right? Or they would have given us a better way to put this on. Okay. Almost, I feel like I almost had it. Nope. No, nope, nope. Okay. I'm gonna take that back out. I'm gonna take that back out. And I think what we're gonna do is try and be sneaky. Okay. Found a little spot, but I just can't get my hand in there far enough. To get it in there. Alright, I feel like these aren't for sure not secure. So if your idea was to wrap wire around these wires, they are definitely not secure because I can actually pull this right out so easily. Not so good, right? So we don't want to do that because I feel like that will not get us anywhere. But what I'm trying to do is get this right through the bottom. We're having a heck of a time. Alright, this is our last ditch effort, because then we're going to resort to permanent glue. I don't want to wrap it around one of these ridges because if I pull really tight, it's just going to cut right through any kind of glue. Like it's like a very slight glue that's even holding that together. Just trying to see if I can find where it went. Alright, well, I think our last ditch effort is over. So what we're going to do, I like using this stuff, and it's similar to E6000. It's called Quick Grip, and the only reason why I sometimes like using this version better than E6000 is because I know I need my needle in this instance, right? For sure. Is that this one dries pretty quickly, okay? Where the E6000 I find dries super slow. And I don't want to just use super glue. I don't want to just use hot glue, because if I just use hot glue, then this thing, if it were to ever go in the sun or get somewhere super duper hot, it's going to literally just melt right off. And I don't think someone's going to be very happy at that point if it just falls right off. So I'm just putting, ooh, let's not get that on our ribbon. Okay. So we're going to see how this works right in there. Okay. And so we'll let that sit for a little bit. I think this tube is done. This tube has had better days. And while we're doing that, we got a little extra beehive luster everywhere. while we're waiting for this to kind of dry a little bit, what we're gonna do is finish off our ribbon tails here on our bow. Okay, so we're gonna always think of something to do while you're waiting for something else, because time is so valuable that we don't want to just sit and wonder how long it's going to take for something to dry. Always look for other things to do. Could be anything to like cutting extra material while you're waiting for another project. So as you saw when I came in, I had already pre-cut pretty much everything, other than obviously our little black and white Swiss dot dovetails. I think was the only thing I forgot to actually cut. But I like to make things into bundles and already have prepared before I go do my wreath, because I find you can just kind of breeze right through it. So if I had to sit down and literally cut everything and put everything on as I was cutting it, I think it wastes a lot of your time. Now you guys may decide that's perfect for you because you find that more enjoyable, but I find it much more enjoyable to be able to just finish the whole thing right at once, and not wonder I'm gonna have to come back and, you know, have enough material or anything like that. Now I know we have extra on the yellow ruffles, but I'm not worried because Lordy probably going to be making another bee wreath, you know, or I'm probably going to use the yellow in some other kind of Easter something, you know, so there's very little to worry about. You'll find something else for that to go inside of. Okay, we're just cutting some of our fray. And so our other thing that we could do is also wrap up our little pipe cleaners while we're waiting for that to dry. So it does recommend on the package, which I obviously did not do, to use in a well ventilated area because it is pretty strong. It's like super glue. It is permanent. It says all-purpose permanent adhesive, water and weather proof, flexible and paintable, so it dries crystal clear and you could actually paint over that glue. So it says. I have not tried, but so it says. Alright, so I'm just finding the last pieces of my pipe cleaners, because this way when I know that my beehive is secure, I can kind of flip it standing up to go ahead and secure everything else that's left in the back of my wreath frame, like all that wire from my bow and the two sides of my sign. But I never want to flip this over upside down after everything is on it. You know why? Because I don't want to squish everything and then have to come back and refluff everything. So you want to try and stand it up gently so that when you're working to close everything off, you're not going to have to come back and create more work for yourself. Okay? So again, I'm just finding all those little pipe cleaner ends. I'm not cutting them off. I'm just curling them around my paintbrush end. Oh, I just squished my little bow. Because I have found from doing this so much that when I first started doing this and cutting the ends off of the pipe cleaners just took so long. And then to make sure that it wasn't going to go in and scratch anybody or anything like that. Super long time. Unnecessary. Okay. So let's play with our ribbon for a bow. and curl up some of these ends. I like curling up the 1.5 inches a lot. Okay. So let's kind of go, have them go in the same direction. Alright. And so what do you do with these 2.5 inches? These you can kind of just curl up this way. Okay, and then you can kind of just let them hang. The 1.5 inches I kind of like to curl as if like you were going to curl your hair in a curling iron almost. Even though God only knows I can't do that myself. To my hair, I can do it to ribbon pretty good. And not in my hair. My hair, I always end up going to the hairdresser and being like, help me, please. We have somewhere to go. Okay. So your tails sometimes just need a little direction. Alright. This is another 1.5 inch, so I'm gonna curl that like a piece of hair in a curling iron. Okay. All right. All right. Still a little tacky, but it's not going to go anywhere. At least now. Okay. So I think we're done, guys. I think we're done. I'm going to zoom you guys back out. I think. Oh, we need the mouse for this. My fingers could be like fat fingers and I'd close out the live by accident. Ah, okay. So everything aside, what do you guys think? Do you like it? Too much? Too little? I'm trying to get some of the different colors out of the way so it's not so distracting when you look at it. I knew I had a piece of wire cut. You know what I said? I thought I cut a piece of wire. I did. I think that came out really cute. No, I think our bow is sideways a little bit. There we go. Our bow got a little sideways. I don't know how. I could fluff this thing for days. That's just being honest. Alright guys. I think that's it for me. Hopefully you guys love this tutorial. Excellent. Geraldine loves it. Cindy loves it. Wonderful. Well, thank you, gang. All right, and if you have any questions, the replay is always going to be available on our channel. And the next time we'll be back on YouTube is going to be a week from now, next Thursday. I don't know what project we'll be doing yet, but I think we're going to switch a little bit to swags, using some wooden, normal wooden slats that you would normally find at like the craft stores. We're going to build them into actual a swag base. So that's always fun to do. And we might be doing a double door project with those. So I'll have to plan everything out, see how things go. And otherwise, we'll see you guys next Thursday, 9 p.m. All right. Thank you everyone for coming on. Kathy here from Santa Marta Design signing off. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, I would greatly appreciate it if you do, and hit that little notification bell icon so that YouTube tells you when we are on or post new videos for your viewing. All right. I'll see you guys next week. Have a great weekend and happy Valentine's Day tomorrow, everyone. Okay? Bye.